Welcome to this first episode of this little mini series, number one learnings from a seven figures entrepreneur in this example, or multiple seven figures entrepreneur in this example, where I'm just going to talk about things I learned from all of my friends. And in this video, this is probably going to be the best one from the start because this is the number one learning that has served me the most the past couple of months since I really picked it up and since I really started rolling with it and using this a lot. And just for context, I have always been a very creative person. So whenever an idea came up, I do it. I can work relentlessly on that, but it's always like ups and downs. I feel like other guys who are quite creative know this as well. And I've never been the person that really looks at data much, right? Obviously tracking outreach and all of that, but I've never been this guy who looked at the business from a very analytical standpoint. And my friend in comparison, like again, as I said, he makes multiple seven figures per year and he is very, very analytical, hyper analytical. And he has a very simple framework that he's been using his whole life, which he applies to everything. And it is extremely, extremely smart. And it helped me a lot recently, which is idea, execution, analyzation. He applies this to business, he applies this to the gym, he applies this to relationships, he applies this to every single area that he's active in. And it serves him well. Since I picked it up, it serves me so well. And I will give you an example. You start going to the gym, right? It doesn't matter if you just want to increase your bench press or whatever. And what I did, what I do, what many other people do is they just start going to the gym and they don't track. They just do. So you start doing your bench press, you start doing your biceps curls and all of that. And after a few months or a few weeks of going, you start seeing improvements, right? Because this is naturally what happens and you start feeling good, you start feeling amazing. But then at some point, this is also what happens to me is like you stop really improving much. You don't actually know, like, are you improving? You don't track often. Like sometimes you do that many reps, you can do less, you can do more. And you basically have no data except for your own feelings or like what you think. And how can you now actually know, am I improving? Am I not improving? How well am I improving? How often do I train? How often have I trained this muscle group? How often have I done this? And what happens is that you have no data. The only thing that you do is you just go to the gym and it's just vibes. And this way you can really train or optimize the best way possible. And it is the same in business. What I have done, what friends are doing, what many people are doing, and this doesn't matter if you make 10K or 100K or 200K per month. I've seen this with many people, which is they do and nothing else, right? So it's like, oh, they have an idea, and I'll give you a few examples here soon. It works, money comes in, this comes in, the business is scaling somehow, but you still always feel all over the place. I can give two good examples here. One for myself in the business, which is I started in January, which was now like pretty much 2 months ago, started with all sorts of different campaigns. We started running ads. We started doing like outbound prospecting. We started obviously getting inbound leads through the ads. We started doing short form content on Instagram, and we started doing long form content on YouTube, like you're watching it here. And this is 5 different channels, and all of them cost money. And obviously we only have a set budget per month that we can spend on marketing or many different things. And at the start we were allocating differently and just to test and just to do. And what was happening was we were getting leads through ads, we were getting leads through outbound, we were getting no leads through the content side of things. But obviously content is a long-term game. So what happens is that after a month and a half, after a month, I looked at everything. And I had an objective in my mind, which is like short term and long term. Short term is obviously we want to increase cash flow as much as possible, and collect as much money as possible, just so we can keep reinvesting into the business. And what I then did was seeing, okay, we spent almost the least money on ads, but it gave us the highest returns. It gave us the most leads. And in comparison, we were spending the most money on short form content for the editor and for many different things here. And in comparison to the ads, it brought us the least amount of leads. So what do we know? Okay, we should now take away some short form content budget and move it towards the ads budget, just because based on our objective, we want to make as much money as possible in the shortest time frame possible. We have to increase the ad spend in order to get more leads, in order to collect more money, so we can potentially then reinvest it again into other things like increase short form again. And I then went very analytical about, okay, where do exactly how many leads come from? Like how many leads did we exactly get from the outbound prospecting, from the ads, from this, from that? How many leads did we convert to sales calls? How many sales calls did we close? Because we were able to get and generate many leads and get many sales calls, but I wasn't really happy with the closing rate. So when I was looking at the closing rate, I couldn't really figure out what the main issue was because it were always different issues. So I then looked at all the sales calls that we had, or like that I had, and I looked at, okay, what was the reason this guy did not convert, or this guy does not convert, or this guy did not convert? And then I saw it at the start, I saw a trend, which is many leads that came through the ads were not qualified at all. So for Helix, you have to be at a certain level, and then many of these guys were just below that level, so we didn't let them in. I was like, okay, learning here, we have to be much more specific in our ads, for example, in the ad copy, and call out our target audience much better. This is learning number one, after I just really analyzed, okay, why did certain people not convert? Learning number two, for example, was that the guys that came in through outbound prospecting and the guys that came in through ads had a completely different framing when they came on the call, because they came from a different source, and I couldn't move forward with the same sales call framework that I used for both of these parties, because the framing is a completely different one. So what I then realized is, okay, I can't talk to both of these people the same way, because again, the origin from where they come from is different. And now I have a different approach for people who come from the ads, for example. And this I only got to know because I did the analyzation side of things and realized, okay, where is everyone coming from? Why do these people not convert? What is the reason? And even 2 months back, I would have never done this. But what happened this way is we're increasing our closing rate. I'm increasing my sales skills as well. We're increasing how much money the company generates. We're just performing overall better and better, just because we take this step back, we analyze what is actually happening, and then we're improving. So this is something that, again, I see many people are not doing, which people should do. So again, it is idea, execution, and then analyzation. This is the simple framework my friend uses. I have a better example for this even as well for personal life. So I have a good friend who is in Helix, and he runs a big web design agency. And what he did was, he says, yeah, he wants to sleep better, focus on his sleep, have a set time when he goes to sleep, and yeah, just improve like his quality of life, because he's making a lot of money, but also his quality of life kind of sucks currently. So what happened was, we were just looking at his life. He says, oh yeah, like 3 weeks in a row, hey guys, I didn't meet my goal of going to sleep every day at 10 or 11 p.m. Instead, he had nights where he worked until like 4 a.m. or like 2 a.m. And I was like, man, like, have you asked yourself why it is that way? Like, why you're going to sleep so late? And then he's like, yeah, our clients are in the US. We're 7 hours ahead of them. So we have meetings in our afternoon and their morning. And then our employees go home and I have to take care of everything and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay. So we actually know what the reason is for you having to go to sleep so late, just because you spend time thinking and analyzing. So what can you do in order to solve this problem now? Can you try to make these US guys like this first meeting of the morning, so it's earlier for you, so people can stay longer, can work on that faster? Can you get your people to come in an hour or two later for work, but also stay an hour or two later so they can work on that and you don't have to work on this until the middle of the night? And then we were just thinking through different ways on how we can improve his current situation. And what happened afterwards was that we improved his situation, just because we analyzed what is actually going wrong. Because again, what happens is that many things are going wrong in all of our lives, and our issue is that we're not asking ourselves, okay, why are these things going wrong? And then really go back to the root of the problem. And when you know the root of the problem, you can fix the problem and fix the root of the problem, and then it's just an upward spiral of things getting better and better. So this was kind of the first episode of this series here. I hope you liked this video. If so, please give a like. If you're not subscribed yet, subscribe. And if you have like any thoughts, please comment. I'd love to engage more in conversations. And then I see you in the next one. Bye bye.